Wow, can you believe it? GameSkinny.com. I am Nick Aguila, your resident Star Wars nerd and host of the Gaming Lately show right here on YouTube. And I actually got to sit down with Star Wars YouTuber HelloGreedo. We talked for about an hour, and yes, I took up as much time as I could, asking every question I possibly could, trying to go through and really see, which ones he hasn't been asked, which ones these really thought-provoking things, and I thought we got some great moments out of there. Hope you guys enjoy it. Here it is for GameSkinny.com. I'm Nick, and this is HelloGreedo. Alright, so he started in 2011 with the HelloGreedo YouTube channel, where you can find him and support him on Patreon. And for more information on where you can find all of his shirts, posters, more videos, news, blogs, and podcasts he's featured on, you can go to HelloGreedo.com. Greedo, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Nick. How are you?
I'm pretty good. One of the things I wanted to just go ahead and mention right off the beginning was that as soon as you go to the YouTube channel, you see at the top Hugo Awards Best Fancast nominee for 2016. Can you, for people who don't know, maybe just saw that, what was that process like of being nominated and then
kind of surreal,
getting the awards back?
Because I have so many sci-fi books that say Hugo Award winning book, you know what I mean? So to see that email come in saying that I was up for a Hugo Award, it was very humbling and surreal. Unfortunately, in the best fan cast category, nobody won. The voters, I for some goofy political reasons, I didn't go. As soon as I started reading about it, I was just rolling my eyes. I didn't want to get into it.
Yeah.
But they voted no winner. So no winner won the best fan cast in 2016.
And the actual Hugo Awards have been around since at least the early 50s.
Yes, yeah. I believe it was 52 or 57, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
So yeah, the first, to be nominated, great, but then no winner. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate,
I would
but
love to have anybody win.
Yeah.
Oh well. people are goofy, man.
And at least this year, they have obviously different nominees this year. Hopefully they won't repeat the same mistake. And usually, the unique thing that the reason I want to talk about it initially is just because most of the nominees are podcasts or, they're not necessarily YouTube channels. So right. I just, thought it was really unique that you were able to be nominated up there.
Yeah, and there's some really unique stuff that was also nominated. There's some digital cartoons that people did, stuff that I felt was really deserving of at least I don't know. It's just it really kind of bums me out. It kind of makes me angry that people just voted no winner without ever probably looking at the content.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
True. Very true. But yeah. So obviously we're here to talk about Star Wars stuff, and of course Battlefront 2, which is coming out in November. Everyone's extremely excited, and excited for EA Play coming up. I just want to ask you, what, just based on this whole arc that happened, if I can just go through it real quickly, where it was the trailer, the trailer leaked initially, then within the week, Star Wars Celebration, the full trailer was unveiled, concept art came out, and now it's just sort of this sort of lull where we're just waiting for EA Play. They're doing some little promo things where they're speaking with developers and people working on the actual project from EA. What's been your reaction to that whole arc?
I like it. For me, I don't really get excited. I'm super excited for the game, but I don't really get excited for cinematic trailers and stuff like that. That's just me personally. When I start seeing some gameplay, that's when my my gaming muscles start to itch. But I love the storyline, the single player storyline. As little of that as we know. That's probably what I'm most excited for right now, is the single player, which initially I've always said that Battlefront isn't something that I get excited for a single player campaign with, but for some reason I am super excited to dive into that.
Yeah, true. And I think that's one of the main reasons a lot of people are really excited is that they get not only a single player campaign, but one that's a canon single player campaign, because the story of Iden Versio, who's going to be the new main character in Battlefront 2, is that she is an Imperial. It does take place immediately after Return of the Jedi. Well, actually during Return of the Jedi is that first clip we saw. And it's the first character that's going to be introduced, first canon character that will be introduced, and the first one that we'll sort of get to see play out and affect others. So Kylo's in the story, Luke is in the story as well. So we'll see like officially canon things unfolding as people start playing the game, which is like really
Very
unique,
true.
you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, just sort of jumping around a little bit. More so back to the YouTube channel. You do obviously a lot of Star Wars content, and lately you've been doing a lot of live streaming. What's got you into like the actual like doing more live streams, like the May the 4th live stream, for example?
Well, last year I did a full day May the 4th live stream, but lately, really what set me off was Star Wars Celebration and seeing the Battlefront 2 trailer, and then I kind of realized that the amount of time that I was just sitting around doing nothing, I could actually be devoting to the channel and interacting with people that support me and stuff like that. It was just kind of a switch that flipped in my head, kind of a motivating factor and a newfound drive. I don't really know how to. I've been trying to be more disciplined in my life with like scheduling videos and stuff like that, making more content. So it's just a lot of different factors played into it, but I have so much fun doing those live streams, man. But I really try to like do like an hour here and there, because any more than an hour, it can be a little taxing, a little repetitive at times. But even then, it's still fun.
Yeah, and like I mean, just in like going through and trying to like form some questions, I was just going through a lot of those live streams, the monthly or bi-monthly Patreon Q&As, and like it's really hard to find a question that you have not been asked.
Yeah, man.
Just because you really get through, and like what's been like the community response to like, are people even still asking questions in the comments? Is it more so just like, hey, this was cool, or are you gonna do this sort of thing? Like, what's been the response now?
It's pretty much all questions. In the live streams in particular, is that what you mean?
Well, yeah. Well, in more so in like other videos when you aren't doing the live streams. In live streams, you do get through. I mean, I don't even know how many questions. I'd say over 200 questions probably has during that 8-hour one. So.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. In the comment section, it's usually. I've found that it's usually stuff that's directly in the video that they're watching. It's rare that occasionally I'll get questions, and normally it's stuff that I've answered before. But yeah, for the most part, it's like I like to look at some of my older videos where I put part 1 on the title of the video, anticipating to make a part 2, and they're like, where the hell is part 2? And it's been 3 years, that's kind of funny to me. Yeah, the comments are all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things, there's like 2 separate ones that, series that you've been doing that, I mean, people seem to really like. I personally like them as well. One is Star Wars Profiles, and then the other one, Star Wars Science. So, maybe just talking about profiles, what got you into doing that sort of, those people who are behind the scenes, who we may not know much about, who we may see names and credits, what got you to really like dive into those?
That's what's always been fascinating to me with Star Wars. It's not necessarily like the EU or the extended canon. I know that people love that stuff, and I understand. But I look at what I love about Star Wars is the behind-the-scenes movie magic, and that goes with like I've always been a big movie buff. I just like to see how things are made and the creative minds that went into it. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's just been a lifelong fascination, and to be able to, and I use those videos as my own personal education time. Like, I like doing the research and learning about these guys. So it's a twofold. I get to like almost educate the audience, but also educate myself on things that interest me.
Yeah, and like using those as educational tools. That's one of the things that, I mean, it leads perfectly right into Star Wars Science. That can be used as an educational tool. You do actually see more so just like these things that are working together behind the scenes, that there is an explanation more or less for a lot of the things that are happening. So like, what in Star Wars Science, what like new topics are you looking to cover? Or are there any that you like maybe don't want to cover because you're like, this might be like out of my range or something? Or
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, everything. I'm a dummy. Everything's out of my range. I'm just reading what other people wrote, man, and then trying to spin it my own way.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. But right now I'm working on one, a Star Wars science on holograms, and kind of seeing when the technology was invented, and where it's being used now, and what it's going to be used for in the future potentially. I don't know if I have a list written out for Star Wars science, but usually it's just kind of something that I see in the movies or some article that I read about and kind of spin it in a Star Warsy way. There's a scene in the Twin Suns example, if they actually do exist and they're plentiful in the universe. So, I don't know. That series is fun for me because I get to pair Star Wars and science, and a lot of times astronomy, which are two things that I've always loved.
So yeah, one of the ones specific episodes you did was about the Death Star and mainly just space stations, like how they even work in general. So would you actually like to see a mockumentary sort of the making of the Death Star, but it's a real movie, but sort of from the perspectives of these random people, or the SNL version of Matt the Radar Technician kind of deal?
Oh, yeah, you might have just gave me an idea for a video.
Oh, perfect.
No, I like that. Kind of like a How It's Made History Channel episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Death Star. Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
I mean,
I would love to see that. I would love to make that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. No, that'd be neat.
But yeah, I mean, because it seems that at least in what we see from Rogue One and stuff like that, is that they're trying to move the movies into different directions, and Rogue One was the perfect example of how they're just sort of, they take it towards this more generic war movie kind of idea, and now that maybe, I don't know if they'll repeat that, if they'll keep going, how the anthologies are going to work. Do you think they would do something like that mockumentary sort of?
Maybe, maybe I could see that actually as a bonus disc kind of thing, or something they did at Celebration for a goof. But I don't know, with the anthology movies, I kind of get the feeling, or in a way I hope they're doing this, is that they're just coming up with some random ideas and throwing them at the wall and see what sticks. See what the fans are into. I think doing that kind of really different stuff keeps the franchise interesting. It's not, it doesn't, get stagnant.
Well, yeah, and I mean, speaking of keeping it actually interesting, the directors are, increasingly different. You have J.J. Abrams for The Force Awakens, as opposed to newer directors that they're taking on seemingly for each movie, rather than keeping one single strand director for the whole time. Who's a director you would like to see direct a Star Wars movie, or who you think could direct one?
Man,
favorite or not?
Well, I like what Disney's doing with kind of they're established directors, but they haven't done very many movies, and I appreciate that. They're giving younger talent a chance, opposed to just throwing some directors that have been established for a while in there, other than J.J. Abrams, of course. But I would like to see, and this is kind of in left field. I would like to see it just to see what would happen. But Danny Boyle, he did 28 Days Later, 127 Hours, Train Spotting, Sunshine. I just love his visual style. I think he's a smart dude, and I don't know how well it would work in the Star Wars universe, but maybe for a really off-the-wall anthology movie, it would be really neat to see him tackle the Star Wars project.
Well, you're not going to believe this, but my next card literally says Danny Boyle. I don't know if you can see your screen. So I'll just go ahead and ask about Danny Boyle. There was a story about him last week where he was saying, just quote it directly, he was talking about Ewan McGregor and how they had this 10-year fallout, and he was saying, I regret all the movies that we didn't make together during that time. So do you think Danny Boyle could make an Obi-Wan solo movie? How would that look like to you?
Yeah, maybe. I would go see it.
If they want to repair their relationship,
Yeah.
making a whole movie like that together, you know.
That would be pretty neat. Yeah. I'm not one for like solo anthology movies. Oh man, my chair is squeaky. But yeah, I mean that would be a good team. I would like to see that because, like I said, Danny Boyle, great visual storyteller. I think he would bring some really interesting stuff to that. And working with Ewan would be a plus for sure.
Yeah. And so then, well, there's two more really, just about like some YouTube videos you've done. You did about last week, I think, actually, or maybe the week before. The main question was just where are all the Star Wars games? We've been in this new era essentially, where we have Disney in control of of LucasArts, Lucasfilms, and I mean they seem to be going somewhere when they they have SWTOR out there, the Old Republic. They have Battlefront 2 obviously coming out with EA. Do you think EA is like sort of holding them back from making like just churning out Star Wars games essentially?
Yeah, maybe. It's never. How do I put this? It's kind of weird when you look at Star Wars, like Lucasfilm or LucasArts. They used to collaborate all the time and just release a bunch of stuff for better or worse. But it's kind of weird to look at like EA as the sole provider of games that we're going to be getting.
Yeah.
And we're just like at their beck. I don't know. We're kind of at their mercy and begging for these games to be made. And I made that video, and I feel like the answer is just growing pains. They're trying to figure things out. The canon's not really there yet. They're trying to. I don't know. What's your take on that? Do you have like?
Well, really, I think that EA is like sort of, and Disney are sort of nervous with Star Wars, and in that, I mean, the reason that there were so many callbacks and was sort of a complaint to some people that there were so many callbacks in The Force Awakens was because when you're carrying the weight of such a franchise, you have to sort of balance out all the Easter eggs, all the goofy C-3PO shows up all of a sudden, that sort of deal. And I think they're pretty nervous with actually doling out new games, which is why it's feeling slower than it actually needs to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
I completely understand that nervous feeling too. I mean, you acquire this enormous franchise. Yeah, and like you said, I don't really understand the desire. I mean, it's heavily relies on nostalgia or why people think like this. But everybody wants like an Empire at War remake or a Knights of the Old Republic remake. Those are great games back then. I'm a very forward-thinking person. Mm-hmm. I want new stuff. New stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that was one of the things. I mean. Just in sort of listening to your live stream, I think another video as well, that characters are like what excites you about Star Wars. So what are some like new directions you really want like Star Wars gaming to go? Do you want them to go more of like the first person shooter route? Do you think they should go RPG route? What do you think should be like their next focus if they were to like choose one?
Like an open world Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind type of thing. That would be kind of my dream game right now, where you get to pick your path and profession. Like my all-time favorite Star Wars game is Star Wars Galaxies. It's an MMO released in 2003, I believe. But what I loved about that was you weren't just playing Star Wars. You weren't just running around swinging lightsabers and shooting blasters. You were actually living in the universe. Like you could be a doctor and all these random professions. You didn't have to take part in. You could be a mayor of your own city.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of stuff, like living, as opposed to running and gunning with a blaster. Well, that is fun.
Yeah.
I want to experience a more broad look at the universe, but yeah. So yeah, the Star Wars RPG would be incredible. I also want a new Star Wars real-time strategy game. That's like one of my main things that I really want.
You think they'll move in like that sort of direction? Because they do have the Old Republic. Which would you prefer them to move? More online or more, console focused? Which one do you think's their next move, sort of?
Man, I don't think we're ever going to get another game like Galaxies. That enormous sandbox. I don't think that's the model of success that studios I just don't think they see them as successful. I don't know. Like so many MMOs are what do they call them? Theme park games nowadays, like WoW and stuff like that.
Yeah, very true.
I really don't think we'll ever see another Galaxies, which is a bummer. I could be wrong, but
well, I mean, you really never know. I mean, when you have, again, I mean, this goes back to EA. When you have EA in basically as the gatekeeper, more or less, to what's next in Star Wars gaming, it's sort of like puts this mindset on players too that, oh, we probably won't get that because it's EA, because it's this, or
right.
It's sort of like
exactly, yeah.
I mean, before you even really get into it, and I mean that's one of the things that you talked about too in your videos, that for the movies anyway, that people had already sort of decided. Some people had already decided, oh, because it's Disney, doesn't feel the same, or it's automatically not going to be the same. Do you think there's that same like stigma, or could there be that same stigma with EA in terms of gaming?
Oh, big time. Oh yeah. Every time I post a video about Battlefront or any Star Wars game video, that's the first comment, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, yeah. Why are you buying Battlefront? EA sucks. EA sucks. Okay. They're a company that makes fun video games. Like, I don't know. I know there's probably some like big justification for everybody's dislike of these like giant gaming corporations, and I'm sure if I looked into it, I would agree with a lot of their points. But I don't know.
Do you think? I mean, just going the opposite. Then, do you think Disney would ever trust the Star Wars franchise with like indie developers to make it like an indie game, or like even a smaller one, not a full full stop sort of thing like EA would do?
I think that would be smart if they did that. That is such a huge untapped marketplace for Star Wars games, and you could just get some really creative stuff that it has never been done before. And that's like Star Wars is a big sandbox. We all want to play in it, and to give indie developers a chance to be a part of that sandbox would be incredible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That would be such like a awesome money making endeavor for them too. These cheap games being made by these people that have a real passion for developing. I don't know. It would just be smart, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But.
So really the next part I want to move into is just like specifically for the next game, Battlefront 2. We talked a little bit about it, about the story, but I want to just like specifically the video you did, the 6 things that you want for Battlefront 2. If we can just sort of like run through them more or less.
Sure.
2 of them are sort of similar, so 6 and maybe 4 about seamless transition. When I was speaking to Battlefront Updates in the last interview we did, he was talking about that he hasn't seen like a good example of seamless transition from ground to air like done well enough.
Right.
How like realistic do you think it would be? Maybe not, if not this game, the next one, for them to like really be working on seamless transition in a Battlefront game.
I think they could. I mean, you have all the money in the world and all the resources in the world. I can't imagine they would not be able to tackle a project like that. I mean, I know everybody hates No Man's Sky, but I thought they did a pretty damn good job. I thought they did a really good job of. I mean, granted, there wasn't a lot going on.
It's a visually. I mean, the mechanics of the game are fine.
Exactly. Visually, it was seamless. It was beautiful. I really don't see how it would be an issue. It's not. I don't even know how to put it. It's not like you're actually going from space to the ground. You're making a computer game. I don't see how it would be that difficult for a powerhouse like EA to make it. And that's coming from a dummy that knows nothing about game development.
Do you think that they would? Do you think it would sort of fix that problem of the multi-stage battles? Because in the multi-stage battle, for those of you who watched HelloGreedo live streams around when the Death Star DLC was released, there was lots of flying. You may have heard the word flying one too many times because there was a lot of flying in that DLC.
Yeah.
Do you think it would sort of fix that issue if they focused on like seamless transition as opposed to like multi-stage?
Absolutely. Yeah. When you're making a game, you want to push the boundaries. And what more of a boundary to push than that seamless transition. Something that people have been talking about in games forever.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be like, you want to prove all the haters wrong, then put so much effort into this incredible feature. I just think it would be smart.
I mean, maybe there's people out there who really love flying. That's all that, they throw that on.
I get that.
I get that. So,
just not for me.
So the next one was paying for DLCs. And how do you think they should balance DLCs and what's needed at launch? So meaning, people were complaining that like the first DLC seemed like something that could have been done at launch, not something that we had to pay a season pass for and wait for. So how do you think they should balance that in the new game, releasing content as opposed to what needs to be in there at launch?
That's really difficult to say. I also felt like every piece of DLC that we got, it didn't feel completed. It felt like it should have been in the original game. It didn't feel like it was that much content. I don't know how they can balance it. What I hate about the current Battlefront DLC is that I can't find I play on the PC. I don't know how the console is, but I have a really hard time finding games at peak times for any of the DLCs. It's like one DLC would be released and then the next one would die and nobody would play it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would work around that. Maybe because inevitably they will have paid DLCs, but where the payment should not be an issue is with maps, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the player base, everybody should have an equal, because you kind of separate your gaming community when people don't like one DLC pack and they buy the other. It just splits the community in a lot of different directions. So I don't know, maybe pay DLC for goofy stuff like skins or it's a really fine, delicate balancing act that they have to do, and I don't know how they can do it.
And just speaking about that balancing act, the call that they had, earnings call about 2 weeks ago, they promised that it would be 3 times larger. And I mean, that's exciting for a lot of players, but to me, when I saw that, I was like, I wouldn't have said that out loud. I would have just sort of like held that close, like played that one close to the vest. Like, do you think it's a good idea, bad idea on 3 times larger saying it? How do you think they're gonna deliver on that one?
I think ultimately it was a bad idea for them to say that, just because it gets everybody's mind just wondering, what, I don't know, what
does 3 times equal?
Times?
Like, is that 3 times? Yeah.
Yeah, just everybody has their own idea of what 3 times means, and then people say, well, the original game wasn't even 1 time, and I don't know. I think it was a bad idea just because, like I said, it just makes everybody kind of wonder, and probably falsely too. A lot of people probably just have completely misconceptions about what they're going to be getting. I don't know.
And two, I mean, again, it's just sort of that issue of like, what's at launch, what's going to be a DLC, what's going to be, rolled out later.
Exactly, yeah.
The next thing that you mentioned in that video was that squads. You wanted a full squad system, which I don't believe is too much to ask. They sort of already have it in place with partner spawning, adding your friends into an actual group, and then going into a game from that. I don't think it would be too much to ask out of that, but how do you think they're going to balance the whole partner spawn issue? Because I play on a console, on PlayStation, and it seemed like after one of the latest patches that fixed or changed partner spawning, that people can spawn like incredibly close to you fighting someone, if not, someone you're already shooting at. So how do you think they're going to balance out partner spawn with the full squad?
I don't think... But how does Battlefield do it? Do they have a partner system? No. You just spawn on the squad leader, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. I like that. Whenever I play Battlefront 2015, I'm never invested in my partner. It doesn't feel like we're actually together. It doesn't feel like we're a part of a team or a squad. There's no strategizing or anything. The only purpose for the partner spawn, I guess, is to spawn close by, which is good, but having like a 5-man squad creates a real neat team dynamic. People feed off each other. They can customize their loadouts based on what the squad needs. It's a much more dynamic playing style, I think, strategy-wise. I really don't want the partner system that's currently in place. I want that squad-based matchmaking, or whatever you would call it.
Yeah, do you think... well, yeah, because you are sort of disconnected from your partner. It seems more like you're just placed with this random person. Like, occasionally might be useful to, like, spawn where they are if it's farther along, but that's really it.
Half the time I spawn on a guy and he's in the back sniping, or he's on top of this roof that I don't want to be on. He's jetpacking around, like...
Exactly.
I don't know.
So, and speaking about, all that they've added, or all that they're planning to add, it seems like they're really going towards, like, longevity. Like, they don't want people to sort of drop off after a while, which, is what happened with the current game. So, do you think all this customization that they're adding, is that going to go to waste? Will it actually improve the long-term playing of the game?
I don't know if the customization really matters that much for the long-term player base, like how long people play it. I think the two biggest factors, and maybe this is just me looking at other games and seeing what works, but like having a server browser where people can create their own custom server. You say you play it on the console. I don't know if you're familiar with how a lot of PC shooters are.
No, but, maybe you can go into that just for, more console players who are listening.
Yeah, so I guess I'll give Counter-Strike as an example. For me, I used to host the Counter-Strike source server, and I could customize the rules and how everything was, and I created a little Counter-Strike community. And the same people that would they would continuously just come back to my server because it was a cool environment. We'd talk on the chat. We'd have voice chat. And it actually created a community within this broader Counter-Strike community. And in that, I could make my own maps and stuff like that, which I'm sure we're not going to get with EA. But having a server browser where people can host their own server, you like I said, you create a community within a community. You're not just wanting to come back to Battlefront. You're wanting to come back to Battlefront in your friend's hosted server where you know the people in it and you're familiar with it, you're comfortable in this server.
Yeah.
So like my ultimate goal, and I hope I get this when the next Battlefront comes out, is to host a HelloGreedo server where like 40 of us can just hop in and play together continuously, and the server is always up even when I'm not on, and I just think that would be incredible. That really, like, all the biggest games that have been around, like Counter-Strike's been around since like 96 or something like that.
Yeah.
And nobody plays on the official matchmaking servers. It's all server browser stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you said this or not. Maybe someone else did. I don't know, misattribute it, but I believe, people are still playing every version of Counter-Strike that's out there. So it really does. From what little I know of server browser, it does really affect how long people can play the game if they even want to from the beginning.
And not to mention, like, when the official servers go down, you can, if they ever do, if the publisher or developer scraps of whatever, you can still host your own server. You can there can still be a community once the game's quote unquote died.
Yeah, true.
It's just I don't know, if you want your game on the PC at least to stay successful, and maybe they don't. Maybe it's that model, every 2 years you got to buy this new one.
True.
Which I get from a business standpoint, but having a server browser ensures that longevity. It's a must-have.
So I want to sort of move into the campaign, because that's what everyone I've talked to, either YouTubers in this series or just people I know, they're really excited there's a single player campaign, which is, it's weird to me to hear that, because just from earlier in gaming, like we'll say like Call of Duty games or whatever, like people would just jump right to the multiplayer. Like the single player did not matter, and EA sort of learned from that, obviously, that's not what the community wanted. What do you think what excites you at least about this campaign? Is it just the story? What's good about it?
Really, just because it's one of the few first-person shooter single-player Star Wars games we're gonna have in a long time. It's been when's the last single-player
I would say Republic
campaign.
Commando, but I don't know
That's
if there's anything.
that's what I was thinking too. That was 2005, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while. Yeah, that's really the only reason that excites me is just because it's something new that I've been wanting for a while. But yeah, I've always, like, with certain games like Battlefield and Battlefront, I always just jump into the multiplayer. But and at Call of Duty, I hate the multiplayer in Call of Duty. I hate it so much. So that certain games I play just for single player, and certain games I play just for multiplayer. But I hope Battlefront can bridge that gap.
Yeah, and so what do you think of Aiden as a character? We talked a little bit about her earlier, but what do you think of, like, her personally, and maybe sort of compared to other, like, the solo heroes that we've gotten out of the movies lately? So you've got Jin, you've got Rey, Finn as well.
I haven't. Has there been a lot that's come out about her? If so, I'm probably not.
I mean, well, just like a quick rundown of what we know. I mean, we know she's from the planet Vardos. We know which is a willingly Imperial planet. We know she's a part of Inferno Squad, which is an elite squadron of stormtroopers, who were not clones. Not that they purposely chose and trained to do this. And it seems like her and her, like, little group, at least, and more is going to be explained in a book that's coming out in June, I believe. So, I mean, just of what, like, little we know about her, like, what do you want out of, like, that sort of story? Do you want her to be this more sort of like Jen, like, I'm in this fight and I'm just fighting for the cause, or is it more sort of like she's to, like, find her own way, essentially, like Rey does?
I kind of like the like you said, the Jin aspect. You see, just do a complete 180 on the other side of the fight. See somebody as passionate about the mission as the rebels are. I think that would be a really interesting dynamic to see play out. But I love the whole idea. Actually, I have this book in front of me, Star Wars Fan Film, Storyboard, Script, and Ideas.
Oh, wow.
I actually have a script that I wrote that is so similar to the Battlefront 2 campaign, what we know so far. And I'm like, have I talked about this before? Did somebody see this script? It's crazy.
Cool. Email motive.
I love the idea of having the Imperials like look up and see the Death Star explode, and they want some revenge.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that'll be a really neat story to tell in the next game.
And so, I mean, this is just sort of a minor question. I don't really know if they would do this, but in that shot that we do see Inferno Squad in, they are still on Endor when the Death Star explodes. And, like, there's this gap of time, at least in the movie, or at least in Return of the Jedi, where it's like, that happens, and then they have the whole funeral for Darth Vader, Luke does, and then they have the Ewok celebration. How do you think Inferno Squad's going to get off? Is that going to be, like, the first mission, like, escaping, or are they just going to, like, go mad with what, like, little, ragtag stormtroopers they have left? Like, which would you rather see in the beginning?
Well, what I wrote...
How you wrote it. How does it happen? Please release the news.
Okay, I'll let you know. You're exclusive here. So stormtroopers are on Endor. They literally see the Death Star explode. Communication is down. They have to try to fight their way out stealthily. And actually, at the end of this fan film that I was writing, they stumble upon the ashes of Darth Vader's funeral pyre, and that's how they got Darth Vader's burnt-up helmet back to Kylo. So it was kind of like bridging the gap at Return of the Jedi to The Force Awakens. That's kind of how my thing ended.
See, that would make sense. I mean, that helmet is, another piece that's just missing in that gap is how they get the helmet.
Right. So maybe I'll laugh my ass off if they do that.
Well, you heard it here first that that's what's going to happen.
Go.
So.
There you go.
So, what would you think of Aiden, maybe, or at least that kind of character type where we see, like, the villain as, like, a movie, maybe, as a Star Wars, if it's an anthology sort of solo thing, like a sort of villain character who's the main character of a Star Wars movie?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think they're going to probably just play with Battlefront, with Aiden.
Yeah.
Play the fact that no matter what side you're on, there's believers on both sides that they're doing the right thing. I mean, historically, I mean, people, that's just how people are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to see a movie like that. I don't know how well it would play to audiences, though. I think Star Wars fans really like that black and white, good versus evil, which I love it too. I don't know if they'll do that though. It might be a little risky at this point. Maybe they need to run out of some ideas before they tackle a project like that. But.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. One of the things we talked about earlier too was that Rogue One sort of gets into the more military aspects of Star Wars, and I mean, my personal hope is that they move into something more like that. Would you like to see more movies in that direction? You know, the Saving Private Ryans of Star Wars, like Rogue One was supposed to be, but I mean, some people may think it was that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I would. I still. There's a part of me that really likes the goofy aspects of Star Wars, where I don't like it to be too serious.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think like a grunt movie would be a lot of fun. Like you said, Saving Private Ryan would be interesting. Just like following a squad around, kind of I guess like Inferno Squad, but.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be neat to see. I don't know. I'm just trying to think what Disney is. Like you said earlier, they're probably nervous. What can they try and not try? What'll impress the fans and what'll piss them off? I don't know. It's such a fine line that they're riding. I in a way, I feel bad for them because they can only make a bunch of people mad.
I mean, that's sort of the reaction, though. Like, whenever a new Star Wars movie has come out, I mean, just from Rogue One to seeing Force Awakens, and I'm sure during Return of the Jedi, once that comes out, it seems like the last one just sort of gets like, oh, well, now that I've seen this, the previous one wasn't actually that good. Like, the whole, everyone's list is reordered, everyone's, idea of, oh, this is what a Star Wars movie should be, is just, like, torn apart, so.
Yep. People, Star Wars fans have goldfish memories, for sure.
And, I mean, you specifically, in your, in the times numerous times where you've said your list of personal favorite Star Wars movies, the comments immediately just light on fire.
Yeah, it's hilarious, man. People, if you don't like the same exact thing that somebody else, it's weird. It's just so weird.
Do you think that's going to, I mean, is there any way out of that? Is there any, because the question keeps coming up, and, I mean, every time you say it, I mean, it just keeps happening. Do you think there's any way out of that?
It'll never go away. It'll never. Dude, it's like, I posted a picture of me painting my wall today, and people were telling me that I bought the wrong paint, that I bought the wrong roller, that I wasn't painting correctly. Like, no matter what you do, buy anything, you're doing it wrong. You can't win. It's weird, man. People are weird.
Amazing.
Everybody's weird.
So yeah, just in sort of more like general movie questions about Star Wars. You said you were reading Ike's Bluff about Dwight Eisenhower. Yep. Would you like to see like a sort of like a Star Wars movie like that? Because I mean, one of the few characters that are sort of, we see that military perspective is like Admiral Thrawn, sort of in some of the Vader things that has come out in comics where you see that more commander side. Would you like to see a movie about that, or maybe even a game focused on that?
I've never thought about that before. That'd be really interesting, seeing like the brass, the top leadership, their decision making and stuff like that. I would almost prefer a movie like that opposed to a Saving Private Ryan on the ground military movie. Yeah. Something that was like heavily where you got to see the wheels spinning in the strategist mind. I think that'd be really fascinating to see. Yeah.
And I mean, I think one of the great it was just a dialogue moment, but really when you see Krennic, his whole sort of credit gets stolen for the Death Star, that it being taken over by by Tarkin. I mean, you can sort of see that moment, like, if they just like sort of pulled on that thread, would you like to, I mean, maybe not specifically with those characters, but do you think they could really do something with like the admirals, even on the Republic side too, or something, where you see the admirals like having to decide moment by moment?
Yeah, that would be really neat. You see, like the struggle of power and trying to make rank and stuff like that. The backstabbing. Yeah, that'd be really neat to see. It would be called Star Wars Admirals.
Are we
no, that'd be really
writing
really
another?
neat,
Hey, if you apparently, I mean, your scripts go right to EA's ears, so
yeah,
the next one.
Yeah, I'll just leak a bunch of Star Wars scripts.
So I was more so back into the game, into Battlefront. You famously like blaster wielding heroes. Whenever that question comes up, or if you get to choose a hero, you're usually going to pick the one with the blaster. Which character from the current game in Battlefront is your favorite, and then which character from the new game would you really like to see who's a blaster wielding character?
Ooh, I would say Solo is my favorite one currently. Maybe Greedo. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I would probably say Han Solo. And to tell you the truth, the character that I'm most excited for in the new Battlefront is Darth Maul.
Really?
Because I'm just so curious how they're going to do the double lightsaber. I'm just so curious, how he'll run around I don't know why, but for some reason I'm actually excited to play as him. And like you said, I don't like playing as force-using lightsaber guys.
Yeah.
I think it's a first-person shooter thing. I suck at what is it called? Force Unleashed. I'm horrible at those games. So I'm horrible with the lightsaber. Anyway, yeah. So
do you think, at least with Darth Maul in the new game, do you think just sort of the mechanics of different lightsaber combat, because they have talked about a little bit that they really want it not to be as easy as it is now to just sort of fling a lightsaber. Do you think Darth Maul specifically is one of those challenges they had, because he is one of the few with a different kind of lightsaber?
Oh yeah, I'm sure, definitely. I'm sure it's a challenge. It would be neat to see the lightsaber characters, the fighting dynamic be what are those games called? Chivalry? Is that what I'm thinking of? Chivalry? It's like a game where you actually control your left and your right hand, so you have a shield and your sword, and you swing your mouse, basically. I think that would be kind of neat, have some really realistic fighting dynamics going on, where...
Well, I mean, they've tried to move into... at least with the Death Star DLC, you saw that, they really wanted to have that VR...
right.
expansion in there. So maybe down the line they would want to really do something with VR. Do you see that as a viable thing for Star Wars? Because it seemed like their whole VR play sort of went up. They hyped it up. They have try it out for free, and then they released it, and you heard nothing else about VR since.
That's very true. Yeah, it's the way I see VR is, it's to me, it's almost as inventive as the internet itself. This is we just put our toe into the water, in this vast ocean that is virtual reality. I think Star Wars is perfect for VR, but maybe the technology just isn't there yet, and we got to give it 10 years or so. Mm-hmm. But I think some of the games, and even just educational opportunities with VR or 360 movies, that is a piece of technology that I really think will absolutely change the world. That might sound a little idealistic, but I really believe that.
No, yeah, it absolutely could, because you're experiencing it in a totally different way. It's multiple senses at once, while you're also feeling like you're more a part of the world, and that's
right.
Again, that issue we talked about earlier, where it's just being able to live in the world is what players really, really want.
Yeah. I tried, my buddy had, I think it was a Samsung, just the one that you hook up to your phone. Yeah. And I tried that, and I was on this Italy walk through Rome or something, and I was looking around, and I looked down and to my left, and there's this little girl holding her mom's hand, and she looks up at me, and it sent shivers up my spine. This person was I don't know, it was really, really, it was almost there to where I felt like I was in this other place. It's a really strange feeling.
Exactly, yeah. Being in the world, for all the talk about immersion in other games, That would be the most immersive they can get. It's virtual reality, it seems.
I can't wait to see where that technology goes.
So, we'll just talk about being different characters. We can talk about Battlefront skins. You said, well, specifically, when you asked about Jar Jar Binks in the new game, you said why not? You know, they could throw him in there. Do you think he'll be a skin maybe in the new game? It's just like a fun little nod.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun. I would almost like to see him just as a hero. Why not? It would be so goofy, but yeah, why not? I don't know.
I mean, where do you think like the community's at with Jar Jar in a game? I mean, it seems like there's not as much like just like visceral like hate towards the character anymore. It seems more like there's just like it's the joke of all of Star Wars is that, you know, oh yeah, they're gonna put Jar Jar, or he's actually the Sith Lord behind it all, and you know all these sort of theories and stuff. Do you think?
That theory probably was the best thing to ever happen to Jar Jar Binks.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, I can't remember who wrote that. It was on Reddit, I believe. But yeah, now everybody has like a different view. I mean, he's still a dumb character, but I think everybody just had to get it out of their system. It's like you just come to, I don't know, realization you have to, I don't know, you have to get all that hate out.
Yeah.
And then you're okay.
So are there any, just speaking about heroes in the game, do you think there's any heroes that they maybe, you know, they probably won't put in the game, but you would like your dream character to see in the new game?
Ooh, I think it would be cool to play as IG-88.
Oh, nice.
I think that's probably one of the background characters that I'd like to see in the game.
Sorry, but yeah, I was just talking about like the guards. What do you think they should do with the new guards? Because my idea was more so like if you were a hero, maybe you could get like they could hide some more characters in there. So like for instance, if you were like Cassian, your guard, so to speak, would be K2SO sort of idea.
Oh, that's a really cool idea. I like that. Not making them main heroes, but having them. I really like that. That's a cool idea to add more characters to the game.
Yeah, because I mean, in that way, I mean, it would essentially on their end just be like a skin if they're using, you know, similar weapons that are already in the game.
Yeah, I think I said this on a live stream. I think it would be neat to have Ewoks in the game as a playable hero, but instead of like you just playing as one single Ewok, you could have a team of 6 NPC Ewoks running around you, and you can give commands to these Ewoks, like your own little personal Ewok squad. You know, I think that'd be pretty sweet. Maybe I'm going a little out in left field with that, but I think it would be pretty cool.
I mean, that is the stuff made of some fans' dreams, but also nightmares. So I think they should do that now. I mean, I don't see a game without that in there now. Now that you've said it,
it'd be pretty awesome.
So, what are some of the things you think they should, at least from this current game, do you think they definitely need to like stray away from? Just like this didn't work in the current game, new one, just sort of leave it behind.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see the partner system. See, there's a lot of stuff that I love about Battlefront. When it comes to like FPS games, I'm pretty shallow. I don't do much customization. I usually pick a loadout and stick with it until I quit playing the game. Yeah. I like a lot that Battlefront has to offer. It's a really simple game, one that I enjoy. I don't like the vehicle system. I don't like the hero pickup system. I don't like any of that stuff. I really hope we get a traditional, like, you know how Battlefield has always done it, with you can run up to a tank and hop in. I hope there's like a tarmac with X-Wings or something you can run and just jump in. But I don't know. I'd like that kind of vehicle system to make a comeback.
And I mean, yeah, it does seem like they're making this more sort of like the light version of Battlefield. I mean, that sort of seamless transition thing could also work in that same vein, because in Battlefield you do have jets flying overhead, you do have people doing ridiculous stunts out of them at times, but I mean, it still does work in that, you know, you can't just take off like that.
Yeah, it makes it fun. It just makes it fun. Like it'd be neat to fly your TIE fighter out of the Death Star and bring it down to Endor or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that'd work, but yeah, that's kind of how I would like to see it. Be able to hop in and out. Or, like, my dream is to have an AT-AT walking around on the battlefield, and you can actually control its movement, and then you have gunner seats. So you would have, like, 4 gunner seats, turrets, where players could actually, you know, just like tanks in Battlefield.
Yeah, and I mean, sort of, too, just like the original Battlefront game, where, I mean, you could take off and... in that one ship I can't remember the name of now from the Clone Wars, whereas like you do have the gunner seats, you do have the passengers, you do have you know, the one person controlling the main system. So
yeah, I think they'll go to that. I think they'll go back to that. I hope they do.
So yeah, just one of the last few questions about the new game. What is some of the game modes that you want to see in the new one, either from the current game or from, you know, classic Battlefronts 1 and 2?
See, I really like, my favorite game mode in this one is cargo. I'd like to see something like that stick around, like a smaller match, fast paced, something like that.
Yeah.
What is that one? Was it called Galactic Conquest? Is that what it was called?
In the original, the Battlefront 2, yeah, Galactic Conquest. Okay. Sort of like the Monopoly of Star Wars. You sort of move from one place, take over, fight.
Right. I think that'd be pretty neat to see. But really, the only type of game mode that I'd really that I'd love to see is just a completely open map with capture points. I guess, like, from the very beginning when Battlefront 2015 was announced, I initially said I just want it to be exactly like Battlefield. Like, that's and I got a lot of hate for that, but I still stand by that. Those games are fun. They're perfect for a huge, massive fight in the Star Wars universe. I think it would be that's what I really want to see. Just an open map where you can just go capture points and hop in and out of vehicles and stuff like that.
And so then, based off of that, would you definitely want them to like increase like the game mode size? So right now it seems like they're going to stick with, you know, 40 being the largest multiplayer modes. You know, you'd want to see them bump that up, and maybe, I don't know, to what number?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I don't really know what they're working on, like map size and whatnot. I would love to see a larger player base, but if it doesn't fit with what they've already created in the maps, I kind of trust them in that aspect. I kind of trust them to balance the matches out with the number of players. So if they think 40's okay, I guess I'm okay with it too.
Yeah. Well, all right. We've moved into everyone's favorite part of my little questions, the quickfire round. So, these questions are just some a little longer, some a little shorter, where you can give just a 1 or 2 word answer, or if you feel like something needs a little bit more explanation, you can give it. But just quick questions. Only a couple of these. You ready?
Yeah. I'm not good at this kind of stuff.
Oh, so. Perfect. All right. If you had to redo A New Hope, who would shoot first?
Oh, I wouldn't have to redo it because it's already happened. Han. Oh, I just messed it up. I told you I'm not good at this. Han would absolutely shoot first. I would redo the redo.
Ah, nice. All right. Which do you prefer, old Luke or young Luke?
Young Luke.
Ah, nice. If you had to live in one trilogy, so original trilogy, prequels, or sequels, which would it be?
Ooh. It's hard to say. I'm going to say original.
No, nice. If you had to be another Star Wars YouTuber, who would it be?
Ooh. I'm going to say Star Wars Explained. I'm going to say Alex and Molly. I met them. Nice. I met them. I met them yesterday, actually, up in Atlanta.
Oh, wow, great.
Yeah, and they're like, their dedication, their scheduling of videos, and just it's really infectious and neat to see how just their channel has exploded. And I just love seeing other creators just like reach this insane level and have so much fun doing it,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, and last quickfire one. If only one can exist for the rest of Star Wars, who would it be, Jedi's or the Rebellion?
The Rebellion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. When I think of Star Wars, man, like, I don't think of Jedi and Sith and lightsabers. I think of, like, the grit and the grime, the fight and the rebellion, the X-Wings, the TIE fighters, the blasters. That's what I think of when I think of Star Wars. So definitely the Rebellion.
Well, all right. Those are all of our questions about Star Wars Battlefront. I want to go ahead and thank HelloGreedo himself, Stormtrooper himself, came to Game Skinny. Can you believe it? I want to thank you again so much, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that interview with HelloGreedo. On June the 5th, mark your calendars, we are going to be doing a full unveiling of the Gaming Lately show. That's right, a full unveiling. We are going to have a full intro, a new microphone, finally, thank God, and a whole new format where we introduce our actual guests, have a real show, a real late night gaming show, what you've been waiting for. We know you love gaming. We know you love late night television. We know you like talk shows. You're listening to a podcast right now. So please stay tuned for June the 5th. Mark your calendars. We are going to have a brand new format that you cannot get anywhere. You get exclusive interviews with YouTubers and writers from our site on all things gaming, what it means for the future, what we want for the future, and what you want. So, who do you want to see on the show next? Is it another Star Wars YouTuber? Is it another gaming YouTuber that we haven't talked to just yet? Leave your suggestions in the comments below, and from there, we will be set. So, as always, I am Nick from GameSkinny.com. Good luck, and good night.